All right, guys, what I'm going to show now is just, I realized as I was creating this, I really need to kind of, I don't know, further demonstrate kind of its usefulness. Um, so we're just going to copy it and really take this out of the idea that it is a diagram now. I'm just going to kind of go into other ways that it can be, even more useful to think in these terms for creating curtain walls. Because once you take it out of the realm of a curtain wall, really you're just creating a network of pieces. Does that make sense? Where you have a grid going in one direction and a grid going in another. This happens all the time in architecture. You can just look down the concourses of our building where you have, wood slats, running, counter to the concourse, perpendicular to it. And then there's structure above that holding it together. So, so what I want you guys to be thinking about is always like in the diagram, it's fine for me to kind of show this as, just kind of floating in air and, just being this, intent. But as soon as I jump out of design intent, I jump right into design where I've got to make things actually work. I've got to make this ceiling plane hold up. So this tool can be a very useful way. I mean, if you're going to go in this direction. So what are the things that I can start to achieve? Well, they're rather endless, right? So if I bring back the base mass that this is working with, one, I can start manipulating that form so that it's not just a straight plane, right? I could make this an arc. I could start to pull up one corner and it could kind of start to flare. That's not my intent right now, but what I can do is I can start to drive into this some other elements that would be necessary to make this thing a reality. So that's where you're leveraging kind of this diagrammatic thinking, and then later that turns into actual built work. So in the end, what you're going to do is you'll take this, whatever it is that you created, you're going to put it into your design. I mean, I would actually, it's probably already, kind of in there in a way. Because you're basing it on some of the videos that I've already created that are literally about our site. But then you're going to start to assign the different mass, or whatever it is, actual walls. So then I can start to take this and assign walls to it. And I can assign floors, and I can assign ceiling planes, and I can assign, so there and so on and so forth. But then within this grid, I can start to assign the opposing structure. So what's kind of holding this thing up? So let's just imagine it's a 1-inch square, and it's maybe I don't want it to be on the border. Maybe I do. I haven't decided yet. I want to figure out what is its fixed distance. Or how often is it going to happen? Is it going to happen a fixed number? Maybe that's the best way to go about it. So let's apply it. Let's apply this 1-inch, and let's see what we got. Okay, well, that is one idea. Now we go in here, we go, well, do we want it to happen that often? Maybe not. Maybe it just wants to be 3 times. So we're going to do it that. And it's like, well, I didn't really, my intention wasn't that this would collide in this way. Maybe it was, and it would just extrude through, and I'd have to drill a bunch of holes into these members to make it happen. Or I can start to, start to look at, other ways that it can be offset. Oh, it's maybe not that way. Because that goes in that way. So I'd have to start looking at other ways that this would want to be offset. And so I'd have to go in and so to do this so that you can start to think of it more as structure, what you do is you go to your families, go to your rectangular mullion. I base it on the square. So what I'm doing is I duplicated that 1 inch square and I called it canopy. So I knew that this mullion was being adjusted for that element. And in here, what I did was I started to look at what the offset would be. So I'm not sure if it's that or it's 1.5 inches. Right now these are 3 by 3, so I think that makes the most sense. And I'm going to say okay, and then I'll go into this curtain wall system and I will go ahead and apply that 1 inch square canopy to it. And you'll see it does move. It moves, but it also has this kind of gap. You can see that gap right there. So that's not exactly what I intended. And it looks like actually I needed to move it 2 inches, not 1.5. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so that even makes it slightly worse. Well, you can handle that. We can fix that. Let's go to edit the curtain wall system. And then we're just going to tell it to be grid 2 is continuous. And so now, even if I manipulated this shape a little bit more, it still has, kind of that baseline starting to get kind of a logic, a structural logic to it. Now adding, other elements in the corners structurally hold this up vertically. That you'll have to do, adding a structural element. You'll have to just create a pole or a column where you need it, or a post. But for the very, essentially the beginning, we can really start to get, that logic, to be a lot more smart. Okay, that's it. So a quick follow-up. I realized as I zoomed into this that some things were not exactly the way I wanted them. So I want to walk you through just another trick of how you're going to have to fool Revit to do something like this, which I was hoping would be a lot easier. So what I think would be really nice right now is if I could select multiples, or I had another option that said grid 1 and 2 continuous. But that's not a thing, apparently. So we see these breaks in my major system, but not in my minor system. So the only way that I found that I can kind of manipulate that is to do this. So I'm going to go into edit type. I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to call this the secondary, and then I'll call this one the primary. And I will take this thing off the primary, back to none. And then I will have continuous set for here. Don't know if I really need that. Oh, Hit it one more time. Again, I'm applying this delete grid line. There we go. And then I will then create, this one will be my secondary. And on the secondary, I will lose these, none. Keep this one, delete grid line. For all of these, I think you can already see where I'm heading with this. Yeah, voila. Okay, that's it.